Sometimes there are really special things that happen in the sky that make everyone stop and look up. Today we're talking about one of those amazing things, when the sun disappears for a little while. It's called a solar eclipse. A rare and spectacular celestial event will happen on October 14th, 2023, an annular solar eclipse also known as the Ring of Fire eclipse. What is an annular solar eclipse and how is it different from a total solar eclipse? An annular solar eclipse and a total solar eclipse are two types of solar eclipses that occur when the moon passes between the sun and Earth, casting a shadow on Earth that either fully or partially blocks the sun's light in some areas. However, they differ in the degree of alignment and the apparent size of the moon relative to the sun. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon covers the entire face of the sun, creating a dark circle with a bright halo around it. This is possible because the apparent disks of the sun and moon, as seen from Earth, are mostly exactly the same size. However, this size match is not constant because the distance between Earth and the sun and between Earth and the moon varies due to their elliptical orbits. Sometimes the moon is closer to Earth than usual, making it appear larger than the sun. This is called perigee. When a new moon coincides with perigee, we get a total solar eclipse. An annular solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the sun and Earth, but when it is near or near its farthest point from Earth. This is called apogee. When a new moon coincides with apogee, the moon appears smaller than the sun and does not completely cover it. As a result, the moon appears as a dark disk on top of a larger bright disk, creating what looks like a ring around the moon. The ring is actually the outer edge of the sun that remains visible during the eclipse. The name annular comes from the Latin word for ring, annulus. The difference between an annular and a total solar eclipse also affects how they are observed. During a total solar eclipse, the sky becomes dark enough to see stars and planets, and the sun's radiant crown or outer atmosphere becomes visible as a faint glow around the moon. During an annular solar eclipse, however, the sky does not get as dark. When will this thing happen? An annular solar eclipse is quite rare because it requires a precise alignment of the sun, the moon, and Earth. It also has to be around new moon, when the sun and Earth are aligned on opposite sides of the moon. The points where the moon crosses Earth's orbital plane are called lunar nodes. When the Earth and the moon are close enough to a lunar node to form a straight or nearly straight line with Earth, we are in the eclipse season, which happens twice a year. The last time an annular solar eclipse was visible in North America was in 2012 when it crossed over the US Southwest. The next one will be on October 14th, 2023, and it will be visible from 8 states in the US: Oregon, Northern California, Nevada, Utah, Northeastern Arizona, Southwestern Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. From there, it will travel to Central America and South America. To view the eclipse, one has to be in the 125-mile path of annularity, which is where one can see the full Ring of Fire effect. If one is not on the path, one will only see a partial eclipse, which means that only part of the sun will be covered by the moon. The closer one is to the center of the path, the longer the Ring of Fire will last. During this year's annular solar eclipse, the moon will cover up 91% of the sun. How long will the Ring of Fire phase last? The duration of the eclipse and the length of the Ring of Fire phase depend on the location of the observer and the position of the moon and the sun. The eclipse will start at 10:41 UTC and end at 16:06 UTC on October 14, 2023. The maximum eclipse when the Ring of Fire is most visible will occur at 1:23 UTC. The duration of the eclipse from start to finish will be over 5 hours, but not at a single location. The path of annularity, where the Ring of Fire can be seen, is about 125 miles wide and will cross over 8 states in the US, as well as Central America and South America. The closer one is to the center of the path, the longer the Ring of Fire will last. The longest duration of annularity will be 5 minutes and 17 seconds in southern Mexico. In other locations, the Ring of Fire may last from less than a second to over 4 minutes. Outside the path of annularity, one will only see a partial eclipse, where the moon covers only part of the sun. The percentage of the sun's area covered by the moon will vary depending on how far one is from the path of annularity. For example, in Los Angeles, California, the moon will cover about 64% of the sun's area at maximum eclipse. In New York City, New York, the moon will cover only about 8% of the sun's area at maximum eclipse. Safety precautions. One of the most important things to remember when viewing any type of solar eclipse is to protect your eyes from the harmful rays of the sun. Looking directly at the sun without proper eye protection can cause permanent damage to your retina, which can lead to blindness. You should never use sunglasses, binoculars, telescopes, or cameras without proper filters to view the sun. because they can magnify the sunlight and cause serious eye injuries. The only safe way to look at the sun during an eclipse is to use special eclipse glasses or filters that block out most of the visible and ultraviolet light. You can buy these glasses or filters online or from reputable vendors. Make sure they meet the ISO 123122 International Safety Standard and have no scratches or holes. You should also check the manufacturer's instructions on how long you can use them safely. Another safe way to view an eclipse is to use a pinhole projector, which is a simple device that projects an image of the sun onto a screen or a wall. You can make one yourself by poking a small hole in a piece of cardboard or paper and holding it up to the sun. The image of the sun will appear on another piece of paper or cardboard behind it. You can also use other objects with small holes or gaps, such as a colander or a leafy tree. If you're interested in capturing photographs of the eclipse, you will need some equipment and settings to get the best results. Here are some tips for viewers who want to photograph the eclipse. Use a digital camera with a telephoto lens or a telescope with a camera adapter. The longer the focal length of the lens, the larger the image of the sun you will be able to make. Use a solar filter that fits over your lens or telescope to protect your camera sensor and reduce the brightness of the sun. You can buy these filters online or from reputable vendors. Make sure they are compatible with your lens or telescope and have no scratches or holes. Use a tripod to stabilize your camera and avoid camera shake. You can also use a remote shutter release or a self-timer to avoid touching your camera during exposure. Use manual mode to adjust your exposure settings. You will need a fast shutter speed, a small aperture, and a low ISO to avoid overexposing the sun. You can also use exposure bracketing to take multiple shots with different exposures and combine them later in post-processing. That's a wrap for today's video. Don't miss the latest updates on our channel, Cosmonauts. Subscribe to our channel and click here to watch the next video.